So good evening, Dr. Selva. Today we are here to learn and know something about a very important type of cancer, that is liver cancer. And as we have learned that worldwide more than 800,000 patients are newly detected each year, and almost 700,000 patients die each year of liver cancer. So we would like to know what actually causes liver cancer.
Liver cancer is, as we said, it is day by day it is becoming one of the most common cancers in both men and women. It can occur in children also and in old age people also. And liver cancer is uh, commonly associated with wha- uh, uh, people who are having cirrhosis. Okay, compared to normal people, people with cirrhosis will have 100 times more chances of having cancer. So, what you can infer is anything which causes cirrhosis can cause liver cancer also. So, this is what I am trying to say. There are many things, many other factors which can cause liver cancer without cirrhosis also, but that group is negligible. Most of the cancers, liver cancers, are associated with cirrhosis. So, we should know what are the factors which are causing cirrhosis. As commonly seen in India, we call it as A, B, C, D. That is alcohol, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and drugs. These are the commonest things. And there are
Okay.
a large group of metabolic disorders. There is a group of disorders called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease that is associated with obesity, diabetes, and hypothyroidism. That is called syndrome X, which is coming up in a big way in developing countries because of the altered food habits. In children, there is a type of cancer called hepatoblastoma, which is associated with some genetic cancer syndromes. It can affect children who are inside the uterus also, and can present in children who are newborn, or even very younger children can be affected by such tumors. In addition to that, any cancer anywhere in the body can metastasize to the liver. That can go and secondarily deposit in the liver. So practically any cancer can go and settle in the liver. These are the second most, rather I will say, these are the commonest type of liver tumors we will see. That is called secondary liver. Secondary liver. The primary tumor in the liver is called hepatocellular carcinoma. But the commonest tumor, if anybody asks, it is the secondaries from some other tumor in the body, which has gone and settled in the liver. Having said that, the most common tumor is very in the ladies in the reproductive age group. It's a very benign tumor called hemangiomas. It's very commonly seen in doctors with the liver practice. Patients in the middle age group of 30 to 40 coming with a scan report saying that two lesions seen in the liver, and they are a bit worried. They think that because anything in the liver, they think it may be cancer. So they are worried, and they come to the doctor. So we do few simple tests and tell them that nothing to worry. It is just a overgrowth of blood vessels inside the liver. That is called the hemangioma of the liver. They practically doesn't need any treatment unless they grow very big in size, or they are causing any problems like severe abdominal pain or vomiting or any pressure symptoms. They practically don't need any treatment. In fact, in the post-menopausal period, because of hormonal changes, these hemangiomas automatically decrease in size, or sometimes they disappear also. And many times some unknown people may scare them, saying that it's a tumor of blood vessels. It may rupture. They generally don't rupture. For that matter, I have never seen a case of ruptured hemangioma. So no need to worry. We can just keep under follow up with the doctors. You have to go to a qualified doctor to get evaluated properly. Of course, doing a biopsy of those lesions and all are not advisable. So you have to have a proper imaging to say that it is a benign tumor. It's not something very cancerous. On the other side, I have seen people getting treated as hemangioma after 2-3 years, landing up with metastasis elsewhere in the body. So these hemangiomas and the cancers, they may mimic each other. It is very it's very critical to differentiate them based on the scans, CT scan or MRI scan. So you have to be really at the hands of a very good clinician to find out whether it is a benign tumor or a malignant tumor. Thank you.
Yeah. So as you said, cirrhosis, liver cirrhosis constitutes results in liver cancer almost more than 90% of the time. So what can people do to prevent cirrhosis first? So we talk about how we can prevent liver cirrhosis.
How we can prevent liver cirrhosis? We have to keep a healthy lifestyle. As I said, the commonest causes are A, B, C, D: alcohol, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and drugs. And of course, now coming up is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease caused by altered food habits. So alcohols, people used to say you have to take alcohol in moderation. But as a liver doctor, I will recommend you should not take alcohol. Alcohol at any dose is not recommended. There are textbooks which say that males can take this much of alcohol, women can take this much of alcohol. But as a liver doctor, I will preach against taking any amount of alcohol. Any amount of alcohol is unsafe for liver.
Absolutely.
And second one is people who are living in high endemic areas for viral liver diseases like hepatitis B and C. They should seek appropriate treatment for hepatitis B and C. I'm seeing a lot of patients who get diagnosed with hepatitis B. They don't take proper treatment. They end up with cirrhosis after 5 years or 10 years. Had they have taken simple medications, they would not have ended up in cirrhosis. So seeking appropriate treatment for viral hepatitis is very important. And taking drugs, unwanted taking of medications, like immune boosters, they say bodybuilding medications, or a lot of over-the-counter medications, they may cause destruction to the liver. So they should avoid that. And proper healthy food habits. Stop eating junk food. Eat home food. A lot of fruits and vegetables.
Absolutely.
And low calorie diet. So you should be eating something which your body needs every day. If you start eating more than your body needs, that gets accumulated in the liver, and it gets converted into fat, and it destroys the liver. Okay, so you should eat how much you need per day. If you are a hardworking person, eat accordingly. If you are having a sedentary lifestyle, reduce your food intake. This is what I will say. And if you feel you are overeating, burn out the calories by doing appropriate exercises. These are the things which are mandatory to prevent cirrhosis.
Everything boils down to good, healthy habits, eating habits, and exercise, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
So many a times we have also seen with our Cancer Facts helpline that a patient, even if they are having some pain in the stomach or some kind of, they are feeling some vomiting or nausea, they start to wonder if they are suffering from, they are having liver cancer or something like that. So how do a patient knows that he's actually suffering, or he may be suffering from liver cancer?
No, if somebody's sixth sense says that he may be having a liver disease or liver cancer, it is better to consult a doctor,
Okay.
And if he develops advanced symptoms like jaundice or abdominal swelling of the legs, all these things, and by the time he reaches the doctor, it is too late. It's too late. So when somebody feels that he's having some liver problem, or he's at a high risk of having liver problem or liver cancer, it is better they have a regular health checkup with a liver doctor.
And if a patient by chance is detected with liver cancer, what are the best treatment options at present available to him?
Yeah, very good question. The treatment for liver cancer depends on the type of the cancer. As I said, there are two types of cancer: primary liver cancer and secondary liver cancer. The treatment for secondary liver cancer is the treatment for the primary tumor from where it has come. So we have to treat that. The primary liver tumors, they are commonly, most common is hepatocellular carcinoma. The treatment depends on the number and size of the tumor and presence of extrahepatic disease. If the tumor is outside, it has gone outside the liver, then nothing much can be done. We can just start a treatment on a patient on some experimental immunotherapeutic medications. But if the tumor is present inside the liver, but it is extending all over the liver, then we have to go for downsizing downstaging the tumor, like shrinking the tumor by doing a procedure called transarterial chemoembolization or radioembolization, and then taking the patient for liver transplantation. Whereas if the tumor is very small, large in size, where we can resect that side of the liver, we can go for liver resection. If the tumors are smaller in size, like 2 or 3 centimeter, we can do it by we can manage it by doing just transarterial chemoembolization or percutaneous radiofrequency ablations. If the tumor is less than 0.5 centimeter, nothing is needed. You can just observe the patient for some time. Okay. Sometimes by body's immunity alone, small tumors they get vanished. We have come across such patients also.
Okay. So whenever doctors suggest any patient about liver surgery, he gets afraid. He feels that part of his body is going to be cut and how he's going to survive. So the question that normally such patient ask is, how effective is the liver surgery, and how is it going to affect his lifestyle after the surgery, and can it cure cancer? Can a liver surgery cure cancer?
Yes, the two surgeries which are available for liver cancer are liver resection and liver transplantation. If we can cut out a portion of the liver, leaving a good amount of liver for him to live healthy, then we can just cut out a portion of the liver. Nowadays, liver surgeries are, I will say, 100% safer, because before surgery, everything is planned nicely. Anesthesia is also very much advanced, and liver surgery is much more safer. And one good thing is the liver grows back to its normal size. So after we cut out and take out the portion, new liver grows back. So the patient becomes all right in 10-15 days. Another surgery I proposed is liver transplantation. Transplantation is also much more safer for liver cancers than for other indications of liver transplantation. Patient can survive longer without liver disease or a liver tumor.
So what I make out is that if surgery is possible in liver cancer patients, so that is the best treatment option, because we just cut the part of the affected part of the liver, and it grows back naturally after some time.
And new liver grows back.
Yes, and the chances of recurrence of cancer is very, very low because that the affected cells are outside the body.
Yes.
Sir, any kind of side effects after this liver transplant or liver surgery?
Not much of side effects. In fact, they will get all good effects after transplantation. Okay. Liver transplantation is a life-saving surgery. So there is no question of talking about side effects. Whatever effect they are getting is good effect only.
Okay.
It's a life-saving surgery. Unlike cosmetic surgeries. So in cosmetic surgeries, you can talk about side effects. But in liver transplantation, you can't talk about side effects. It's a life-saving surgery. You know, you're going to save the life by doing the surgery. It's like somebody meeting with the accident. You take him to the operation theater. You can't talk about side effects. You know, everything is done to save the life of the patient. Similarly, liver transplant also. It's a life-saving surgery.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Selva, you are one of the pioneers in liver transplant in India, and you've done hundreds of liver transplant. In Apollo Hospital, Chennai, also you are chief of the liver transplant unit. What is your experience with liver transplant patients? What is your personal, you'd like to give some message to the patients who are afraid of transplant, who feel that donor will not be safe or something like that?
Yes, people who are afraid, you know, it's very difficult to, take out the fear. So what we do is we have a separate liver unit where you will find patients who are going to get transplanted, patients who have just come, patients who have undergone transplant, you know, and our OPD services also cater only transplant patients. So when somebody comes to us to get an overview about transplant, they gain 5% information from us, and 95% information they gain by seeing our unit and interacting with the other patients who are waiting in our room, or who are in their next admitted next to them. You know, so then there they gain their confidence. Where they will meet the donors who come to our OPD for follow up. Then they will find how well donors are doing, how good they are feeling after donating an organ. So that's how they get motivated. So most of the job is done by our fellow patients than us, and I feel that is the most effective way also.
Okay. Would you like to tell us something about cadaver? Because now this is going very, very common and very effective and useful also.
Yeah, cadaveric transplantation is done when some family donates organ of their near and dear ones who has become brain dead after a brain surgery or a brain accident or a stroke. So such types of donations are were higher, but because of COVID, they have gone down. And the advantages are you don't need a live donor, but the disadvantage is you will not know when you will get an organ. Sometimes you will get the organ immediately, or sometimes you may not get the organ itself. These are the things about cadaver. And the cadaveric transplantation is slightly more expensive than a living donor operation, because it is an emergency operation, unplanned operation, and you are getting organ from some other family. So such charges will be applied.
Okay.
These are the things.
Thank you, Dr. Selva. We know that how busy you are, and taking time out today for this wonderful session on liver diseases and transplant. It's of much use to the people and us, and hope to have more interactions like this in future also. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Sandeep ji. Hope to meet you in some other session. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.